Good evening and welcome to California Today. I'm David Lamb. Let's take a look at today's stories. A teenager was accidentally shot last week in Los Angeles. Police released body camera footage and radio transmissions yesterday, but the teenager's parents are now speaking out to demand more transparency and justice for their daughter. The Sierra Mountains are seeing record snowfall. Many places are buried as deep as 10 feet. A small business jet crashed near El Cajon, California on Monday evening. Officials from the San Diego County Sheriff's Department said today they were not able to find any survivors. It is still unclear what caused the crash. Federal investigators said the aircraft took off from Orange County with 4 people on board. The jet crashed east of El Cajon around 7:15 p.m. on Monday. Federal investigators deferred to local authorities about the possibility of any survivors. Meanwhile, initial reports from federal investigators confirmed the aircraft was a Learjet 35 business jet heading to Gillespie Field Airport in San Diego County. No one was hurt on the ground, but the crash damaged one home and power lines in the area. More than 2,500 homes lost power. Roads near the site of the crash remained closed and aren't expected to reopen until Wednesday. Police have released body camera footage from a fatal shooting that occurred last Thursday in Los Angeles. The shooting took the life of a teenager who was accidentally struck by a stray bullet. Now her parents are demanding justice for their daughter and more transparency. NTD's Cynthia Kai has more. And just a warning, some of the following footage may be disturbing to some viewers.
A fatal police-involved shooting last Thursday took the life of Valentina Oriana Peralta, a 14-year-old girl who was out shopping with her mother. Valentina's mother, Soledad Peralta, said her daughter passed away in her arms after a bullet came through the dressing room drywall. Peralta addressed the press in Spanish, and attorneys translated for the press.
We were together at Burlington in North Hollywood. We were trying out clothes for Christmas. We heard some screams. We sat down and hugged and started praying. When something impacted my daughter, Valentina, it threw us on the floor and she died in my arms, and there was nothing I could do.
During an encounter between Los Angeles police and the suspect, later identified as 24-year-old Daniel Elena Lopez, a stray bullet from an officer's rifle struck Valentina in the chest. Valentina's father flew to Los Angeles from their native home in Chile. He said Valentina had once assured him the U.S. was the safest country in the world and dreamed of becoming an American citizen. Oriana addressed the press in Spanish, and attorneys interpreted for the press.
The only thing that he is left for him now is to seek justice for his daughter. He will not rest until justice for his daughter is served, and he promised her that. And all that's left for him, his only solace, is to bury his daughter now.
Moving forward, attorneys and Valentina's parents are asking for more transparency from police, including unedited video footage and radio transmission recordings. The LAPD police chief requested 911 call recordings and video footage to be released quickly, only 4 days after the incident, promising transparency in this case. Body camera footage released Monday afternoon showed an officer removing and bringing a rifle from the trunk of his patrol vehicle. Upon encountering the suspect on the second floor, the officer can be heard firing 3 bullets from his rifle, striking and killing the suspect. Valentina's parents say they will try to accept this new normal and keep being positive. Cynthia Kai, NTD News, California.
Bay Area health officials want up-to-date vaccinations for all workers in certain high-risk settings. The local deadline is now set earlier than the rest of the states. Here's the story. On Tuesday morning, officials in Santa Clara County provided an update on requiring COVID booster shots in response to the Omicron virus variant.
Today, we're issuing a health order that puts in place some limited vaccination mandates and builds on recent actions by the state health officer.
The new local health order requires workers in high-risk settings to be up to date on their COVID-19 vaccination and booster shots by January 24th. Rather than the state's deadline of February 1st. They identify high-risk settings as healthcare facilities, jails, shelters, and long-term care. Employees can apply for medical and religious exemptions, but the order restricts those employees from working in the higher risk settings.
Our test positivity rate is also increasing. So far, our hospitalizations are relatively flat, but we are of course concerned about that.
The local order is a limited measure that's intended to focus on protecting vulnerable populations that these workers interact with, to protect the workers themselves and their co-workers.
Dr. Cody said they're not taking the final step of mandating vaccines for places like restaurants. She added that businesses have been responsive. The county health officer said that the county has a 52% booster eligibility rate. Now, California is the first state to surpass 5 million COVID cases. Despite an increase in the last few weeks, COVID deaths are trending downward. David Lamb, NTD News, California. Jurors started the second week of deliberations against former Theranos CEO Elizabeth Holmes. She is accused of deceiving investors and patients by praising the company's blood test technology as a medical breakthrough, despite its ineffectiveness. Deliberations over 37-year-old Elizabeth Holmes resumed at 8:30 a.m. today in a federal courthouse in San Jose. The jury has deliberated for more than 30 hours in the criminal fraud trial. According to AP News, the jurors sent out 2 notes to the U.S. District Judge Edward Davila. One note requested to take the court material home for analysis, which was rejected. The other request was to view a replay of a 2013 recording of Holmes discussing Theranos' dealings with prospective investors. Theranos raised more than $900 million and struck partnerships with major retailers Walgreens and Safeway with the blood test. The company's blood testing technology was flawed, often producing inaccurate results that could have endangered the lives of patients. The former Theranos CEO Holmes is facing 11 felony counts of wire fraud and conspiracy. If convicted, Holmes could face up to 20 years in federal prison. California is experiencing record levels of rain and snow. Some places in the Sierra Mountains are now buried in up to 10 feet of snow. Here's NTD's Eileen Ang with more information.
The Sierra Mountains in California's Central Valley are seeing record snow. According to the Sacramento National Weather Service, some ski resort locations saw over 10 feet of snow in the past week. North Star had 132 inches, Sugar Bowl had 121 inches, and Homewood had 128 inches of snow. Everywhere, snow covers homes, cars, driveways, trees, and roads, turning the mountains into a winter wonderland. But some people are delayed or stuck due to the storm.
Definitely plan ahead if you're traveling in the storm in the Sierras, because it can be, you never know what to expect. It's pretty dangerous out there, and everyone who's working like highway patrol and all police officers and healthcare workers are already pretty overwhelmed, and it's just not a good idea to travel in a storm like this. So
the manager of a local lodge in Tahoe City has people staying at her place because they have nowhere to go during the storm. Interstate 50 to South Lake Tahoe is now reopened, but travelers should expect delays. The freeway was closed due to fallen trees. Interstate 80 is still closed from Colfax to the Nevada state line as Caltrans works to clear the snow and trees from the road.
Right now, emergency personnel in that area are trying to get through to get to work, and they can't due to all of the traffic. So if you do not have to travel, please stay home. Wait it out. Otherwise, expect that you are going to take, 10 plus hours to get to your destination.
Pacific Gas and Electric Company reported about 70,000 customers are without power in the Sierra Division on Monday. They said it is challenging to get through the snow and are bringing in crews to work with agencies to restore power. Officials say the snowfall this December at 193.7 inches has broken the previous record in 1970 at 179 inches. More snow is expected through the new year. Eileen Ang, NTD News, California.
Today, San Francisco officials announced that the annual New Year's Eve fireworks show is canceled due to a surge of COVID-19 cases. Mayor London Breed and city public safety leaders decided to cancel the seaside display to avoid crowds, citing concern for San Franciscans and essential frontline workers from the Omicron variant. According to the mayor's office, this will also minimize impacts on critical safety systems like 911, allowing dispatchers to remain available to those in most critical need. The fireworks show requires police officers, firefighters, paramedics, and 911 dispatchers on site. 84% of San Franciscans are fully vaccinated and 55% have received a booster shot. Shen completed their performances in San Jose. They saw a full house and received enthusiastic applause during the last two performances.
Shen wrapped up its last two performances in San Jose with a full house each time.
I really appreciate the beauty and the history behind it and all the design behind it. I really do. I think it's the vibrancy and the way that it was choreographed. It tells a lot in the whole story and the way it was really put together. It was very, very thoughtful, and it was gorgeous.
I wish we could see the orchestra a little more, because that's part of the show and it brings the feeling of the show to you, especially being live music and not recorded.
And it was interesting to hear the story behind each one of the dances, because you could see the history and the culture and the relationship with divine power. I thought that was really impressive.
China was once known as the land of the divine. Much of the attire ancient Chinese people wore were also inspired by those worn in the heavens. They lived in harmony with heaven, earth, and humankind. Shen Yun's mission is to revive that culture.
The beginning of it, and I didn't realize, the divine creator and part of that history for China. It's been really eye-opening for me.
I love the divine side very much. I love that there is a history. To me, it brought a lot of education about your history, about the Chinese history, and that was really interesting to me because I don't really know that, right? And I think the part of it, the communism, that was really interesting too, seeing how you're not allowed to, celebrate certain things that you might believe in your faith, So to me, that was very, very important and impactful, and it makes us understand the suffrage that China has experienced.
Under the Chinese Communist Party, people are not allowed to freely express themselves or their beliefs. This holds true for traditional Chinese culture, which was nearly lost after the Cultural Revolution.
It's great to see different cultures and to have different programs and to teach people that there's something that is being lost in a country that's such a major power in this world.
It's important to learn from your history, and so you stay close to your history and you can continue to evolve and get better over time.
After San Jose, Shen Yun will have two performances in Berkeley on December 29th and 30th.
Now to NTD's Thomas Christian for an update on sports.
I'm Thomas Christian, giving you the California Today Sports Roundup. 49ers quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo appears to have fractured his thumb on Thursday Night Football against the Tennessee Titans. During the game, he played through the injury, but his thumb has gotten worse and he was unable to practice or throw this week. Before the injury, Garoppolo was 13 of 16 on passing attempts for 136 yards and an interception. Afterwards, 13 of 19 for 186 yards and another interception. Sorry, Jimmy, but you could have been playing with a broken thumb all season, and no one would have noticed. Rumors around the 49ers pointed to head coach Kyle Shanahan losing faith in Garoppolo anyways, so it's likely that Jimmy G will be out for at least this week's matchup against the Houston Texans. Eyes now turn towards rookie backup Trey Lance, the man the 49ers traded 3 first-round draft picks for and a third-rounder to move up in the draft and select with the 3rd overall pick. Lance has played in spots for the 49ers earlier this season, but expecting a raw rookie quarterback to win against 2 divisional opponents, the Seahawks in Week 4 and the Cardinals in Week 5, is a much taller task than the vulnerable Texans, who currently sport a record of just 4-11. Lance has had plenty of time since his last action to work on his game, and hopefully he can take another step forward in his development at home against Houston. The 49ers season may depend on it. James Harden matched his season best of 39 points and added a season-high 15 assists to lead Brooklyn to a victory at Los Angeles. Patty Mills scored 18 points on 6 three-pointers for the Nets, who played without Kevin Durant and won for the 6th time in 7 games. Nick Claxton also had 18 points as Brooklyn improved to 13-3 on the road. Marcus Morris Sr. scored 24 points for the Clippers after missing the previous 4 games, 3 of them because of COVID protocols. Eric Bledsoe and rookie Keon Johnson added 15 points apiece to Los Angeles, which has lost 5 of its past 6 contests. The Clippers now stand at 6th in the Western Conference, while the Nets rank 1st in the East. Nets 124, Clippers 108. Briefly, San Jose Sharks defenseman Brent Burns is now back with the team after entering the NHL's COVID-19 protocols, the team announced Monday. 36-year-old Burns is now in his 9th season with the Sharks and playing over 25 minutes a night due to lack of quality depth behind him in the roster. Rejoining San Jose now, fans hope he can help get the team back into form after going just 5-5 in their last 10 games. As always, I'm Thomas Christian, and thanks for tuning in.
And that's all for tonight. You can join us again on California Today every weekday at 8 p.m. If you have any news tips to share for our show, feel free to let us know. We're also on Facebook and Twitter. I'm David Lamb. Have a wonderful evening.